Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and today we're looking at Vileplume Giratina. This is the deck that hasn't been spoken about much actually. I think in general there's not much talk around Vileplume at all, and it's really interesting that everyone's sort of playing decks right now with no assumption of item lock, because Seismitoad's gone, Trevenant's gone, and the most popular variants of Vileplume, like Vespiquen, has got way worse because it's lost Battle Compressor, and Karen's coming out soon, so Vespiquen kind of goes away. There's obviously the Vileplume Ninja Boy style deck that did really well at Worlds. In testing, again, it's one of these things where I've not found it too helpful. I end up actually decking out a lot with that deck, and obviously there's like Ranger and stuff, so you can lose games quite easily, believe it or not, with the Vileplume Ninja Boy deck. So the deck I'm going to be bringing you today is going to be Vileplume Tina. I feel it hits, fairly hard, fairly early. Like from turn 2 you're pressuring 100 to 110 damage. Obviously you're going for that turn 1 item lock, and it's, plenty of disruption all at once. I know that when Vileplume first came out, people were always playing it with Tina. I feel like at that time there were superior options, but right now I think Giratina may be our best option. There might be one or two other builds floating around. I've definitely tested out a couple of others, but today I'm going to show off the Tina build because I feel like it just brings the most disruption and is fairly consistent in getting out the Vileplume, getting out the attacker, and just getting going. So we're going to jump straight into the deck. First of all, a 3-3-3 count of the Vileplume. Pretty stable stuff. Even if we prize like a 1-1-1 piece, we can still get more out. And of course, if we do get Lysandre KO'd, there's still a chance for us to get another line of the Vileplume out. I have tested with the 3-2-2 line. I think that's a bit too cheeky. I think you can get punished for that, especially if you have to do like painful Sycamores and one just happens to be prized, then you're super sad. So 3-3-3 gives us a good out into finding this early, often having it in the hand, and we can just go straight from there. Obviously, we are playing for Forest of Giant Plants, so that we can get the turn 1 evolution into Vileplume. The irritating pollen ability means that each player can't play any item cards from his or her hand. You may notice that we're playing quite a few items in high counts. Look at the 4 ofs here and the 2 of Heavy Ball. So really, the aim of the deck is, just like with previous Vileplume builds, to try and spam a lot of Shaymin EXs, try and use a lot of these insta-play items to get the Vileplume going, as well as try and get the attackers going and stuff like that. And from there, you lock down your own items. Hopefully you've played a lot by that point and your deck is a bit thinner. So it's just your opponent really that's getting affected, even though it does, of course, slow you down. Normally, we're going to try and motor through and use these items just to get into this board state with Vileplume, and from there, we don't really need items, so that's what we go for. So the 4 Forest are very simple. It means that we can evolve up into Vileplume on our first turn. Complementing that is, of course, the attacker, Giratina EX. So, Renegade Pulse, we know it's a great ability right now. There's a whole bunch of different decks that are playing something plus Tina, because Tina balances a lot of matchups right now because there's so many Megas out there. So we're just going to use him as the main attacker and hope that this added disruption makes it hard for the opponent to, run into their answers, like so that they can't find their Hex Maniacs mainly, so that they can't find their Mega Evolutions and all these other pieces they need to get going. We want to just stop them with item lock, basically. So we're just sticking with the Giratina overall. So the Renegade Pulse is going to be great for the Mega matchups, of course, preventing all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon by Megas. Really going to help out. And then we have Chaos Wheel, an added extra disruption. So already your opponent can't play any items as long as Vileplume's up. But now, once we announce Chaos Wheel for a Double Dragon plus DCE, we're playing a 4 of both. We do 100 base damage, and your opponent can't play any tool cards. They already couldn't because of Vileplume, but they can't also play any special energy or any stadium cards. There's a handful of decks that are really reliant on their stadiums right now, so it's going to be really great to deny that, and also special energy is still everywhere. Like DC is still really clutch in like Yveltal builds and stuff like that, so really denying them those options is going to be so good for you. So Chaos Wheel, added disruption and decent amount of output. 100 means that we're just shy of Shaymin EXs, and we're just shy of 2-hit KOing Megas. That's why you can see 2 Fury Belt down there, so that we can, if we're able to find Fury Belt on our first turn, we can slap it on Giratina. Suddenly we become 210 HP, which is so much better because we do have to commit 2 energy attachments to Giratina. Normally we just want 1 to win us the game, really. You just want to make this big unpenetrable wall with so much disruption going on, the opponent has no answer. That's the ideal for us, okay? So Fury Belt makes us a bit tankier, so we can live longer and, you know, maybe set up a second one. But really, you just try and be as disruptive on the opening turns and hope that that stops your opponent setting up at all, and then you just win from there. So the Fury Belt is going to help out. We play a 2 count to try and keep him chunky. Other Pokemon, we are playing 4 Unown, super important in this deck. Pretty much from here, everything else in the deck is to just make it function. It's hard enough to try and fit a Vileplume in there and to try and make it, you know, consistent enough to go on the first turn. So the whole deck from this point, other than the Fury Belt, is going to either be an insta-play or it's going to help you draw cards pretty much from there. So Unown is great. It's a levelable, searchable, draw a card. When you put him onto your bench, you can use the ability Farewell Letter. Once during a turn, on the bench, you may discard it and draw a card. Pretty simple stuff. Really, really good. It's really cool because it thins out 2 cards. If you play the Levelable, you Levelable, then that's 1 card out of your deck for finding the Unown, then you play the Unown and draw an extra card. So you really, you're playing with less than 60 card deck. So we're really, really nice to have this card. And of course it draws cards even when Vileplume is up. And not many things other than supporters can do that, so Unown is great. We are playing the 3 Shaymin EX. That's kind of why it's a medium budget deck, not really a low budget deck, because you still do need 3 of these probably. Setup is going to be really helpful for drawing cards. We need to get the big combo off as quickly as possible. Setup does help us do that. We are also playing 4 double colourless, so if we're struggling to find Tina pieces or if we need a bit of extra damage to deal with certain things, we can Sky Return, pick up Shaymin and retain that DC as well, which is nice. Also, just when your opponent is struggling to get anything going, we can just bounce Shaymins for a bit of chip damage here and there if the Giratina's not ready to go or if it's in an unfavourable spot. We do have the 1 Bunnelby as well. Bunnelby is, you know, it's not really a draw card, it's more sort of the recovery card when we have to discard painful things or if we're running out of deck, because sometimes we do go aggressive with this deck and we can run through a large portion of it. Even without Acrobike, I feel that Bunnelby is still quite necessary. It's going to be really helpful for getting things back, like the one of Olympia that we play, as well as Lysandre, which is a really clutch card. If we've had to Sycamore those sorts of pieces away, the Bunnelby is going to be fantastic for giving us that little bit of extra protection to put these sorts of 1-ofs and 2-ofs back into the deck that can help save us later on. As well as we can also have the stall option with this deck. Because of Item Lock, we can prevent the opponent from playing cards like Switch and Floatstone. So if we Lysandre stall things under Item Lock, we can get quite a bit of burrowing going to get rid of the opponent's deck as well. So that is also an option for us. Very, very cool card. So onto the items. We are playing 2 Heavy Ball. That works with Vileplume and of course our main attacker Giratina. So we're normally quite happy to see this in the early, like in our opening hand, just to find Giratina, as well as later on to find Vileplume. It's a pretty nice 2 slot, I think. Pretty solid. 4 Level Ball. Because we don't have the things like Compressor to thin the deck, I think it's important to have search cards to thin the deck. So we play Level Ball so that we can try and find... So basically we have, on turn 1, we have 7 outs into hitting Oddish, like in our opening hand straight away. We also have the Ultra Ball as well, but then more normally going to be used for things like Shaymin for draw. So 7 like definite find an Oddish card, which is really cool. As well as also, you know, as you carry on through your turn, it can be find Gloom, and also it's going to be, at the very least, draw a card. So Level Ball is always going to be really helpful for us. We do have 4 Trainer's Mail getting us into these pieces. Really important to find things like Forest as early as possible, find supporters if the hand's dead, all these sorts of things. Trainer's Mail is going to be really clutch. And we do have 4 Ultra Ball as well. Like I'm saying, it's important for Shaymin. We can dump excess cards that we don't need. We do play quite a thick line of the Plume, so as we start cycling, we can sometimes get into more clunky cards that we can't play instantly, so we just need to Ultra Ball those away and keep drawing. We are playing the one of Olympia. Unfortunately, AZ is gone, as is Cassius. Even that would be fine. But the only supporter switching card we have left is Olympia. So we need to play at least 1 in here. I think it's a bit cheeky going for 1, to be honest. Sometimes it can punish you, especially because there's a lot of Fright Night in format right now. That you can still get Lysandre with Floatstone, so that's awkward. So you might need to up this count to 2. For now I'm just at 1 because we do have the Bunnelby and stuff like that. You just have to be really careful about Olympia. You could switch the floatstone count to 2 and have 2 Olympia. It feels a bit safer, but much slower. So it's up to you really, depending on the amount of Fright Night you're expecting in your area. But yeah, this is just played to be a switching card under item lock. We are playing the 2 Lysandre. It's going to help us pick off easier prizes, as well as deal with threats. If your opponent's trying to build stuff up on the bench, you can try and Lysandre, be proactive and deal with them, as well as giving us that sort of stall option with the item lock. Really handy card for us. 2N as well, just going to give us some nice shuffle draw, quite important. As well as if your opponent, your opponent's sort of holding things, you can just end them out of it. For Sycamore as well, just the most powerful draw support we have on the first turn. So, when we're trying to hit the big combo, oftentimes Sycamore is going to be that option. Like I said, for Forest, you want to max it out because you need to see it as quickly as possible to get the combo started, really. 2 Fury Belt, this is an interesting one, actually. I've played this deck with and without. And although it's 2 cards that aren't going to draw you cards, like these could be 2 Acrobike, let's just say for argument's sake, these could be 2 Acro. And with 2 Acro, obviously you're going to get the turn 1 more often. But it's really like those sorts of turns 2, 3, and 4 that you have to worry about with this deck. When your opponent does start getting an attacker going, you really enjoy having the high HP, and that 10 damage is actually quite relevant for when people do Mega Evolve, expecting that they've got like the Hex for next turn, because we have to 2-hit KO through EXs regardless of what they are. But if they are Megas, or if they got Fury Belt on their Pokemon turn 1, we would be 3-hit KOing, and then it's really awkward for us. So we want to have Fury Belt so that if your opponent's gone first, they've hit a Fury Belt, if it's like a Volcanion or like a Darkrai, so much more important for us to get the Fury Belt on ourselves, so we 2-hit KO instead of 3-hit KO, and also it makes it more difficult for the opponent to 1-hit us. So pretty important cards. It buys us time in terms of health and in terms of dealing with the opponent's Pokemon quicker. So really cool card. 3 Float, I think it's important just to hit this off. In previous builds, you got away with just 1 or 2 because you can compress through your deck a lot quicker. Here, we're slower, so you need to see them physically more often. So 3 is slightly improving that count. And then simply 8 total energy, 4 DDE, 4 DCE, fulfills the cost of Giratina, of course, as well as giving us Sky Return options, as well as a Burrow and Rototiller options. So pretty simple stuff. The deck is fairly basic right now. There could be a few inclusions that you could think about. First one's an interesting one. It's going to be Mincino. Yes, this is the right one. From Fates Collide. It has the cleaning up attack for 1 colorless. You get to discard a tool attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Because there are sometimes going to be games when your opponent has Trubbish Floatstone on the first turn, and this deck is super ability reliant. Obviously we need the Vileplume going, and Giratina as well is very ability focused because Garbodor a lot of the time is in Mega decks. So if you want to have an answer against Trubbish other than Lysandre Chaos Wheel, you can try and play 1 Mincino and hope that works out for you. The main reason I'm not playing it right now is bench space. It takes up the slot of a Shaymin, and normally you need to Shaymin turn 1 as often as possible to get the Vileplume going. So that's the only reason I'm not playing Mincino. I think otherwise it would be really cool. A similar reasoning for why I'm not playing 1 Latios EX. I think if I was to play Latios, I'd probably need to play a Ninja Boy as well. But he could be an option. Light Pulse is a pretty cool attack, as well as early aggression from fast raids. So at the moment, I'm not playing it simply for bench space over anything else. The one I'd consider more than anything is actually 1 Magina EX. Because we have Double Dragon, that pays the cost of metal energy. So Mystic Heart can protect us from a few annoying attacks. Things like Bubble from Froakie, things like Moonless Madness from Zorua, obviously Jirachi promo as well. All these things would otherwise really cripple us. So because we're not playing Ranger for any of these things, especially the Jirachi promo, we can get really wrecked by those. But at the moment, in terms of the meta, no one's playing Jirachi promo. Only really Rainbow Road, if they want to tech a one of metal type. So I feel like we may as well just set up more often and just sort of get affected by those things if we happen to run into them, because your opponent's probably playing a 1-of if they are playing any of these cards in the first place. Maybe not Zorua, that can be like a 3 or 4-of, in which case you're pretty sad. But in general, I feel like it's not that popular in the format right now, and I'd rather just set up. But that's for you to decide. I can see you finding space for McGinn, and more than anything else, that would be the card I'd most look for. Like I was saying, Acrobike is obviously an option for a bit of speed, bit more cycle, get you into that Vileplume a bit quicker. Just be warned that it can get rid of things like DCE, you can get rid of your like one of Olympia and stuff like that, because Acrobike is of course random. We don't know what our top 2 cards are with anything in this deck, so Acro can sometimes be punishing. I think playing like 1 or 2 you could easily get away with though, to be honest. Another card is Misty's Determination. This is a card used in a couple of the Vespiquen Vileplume lists. Definitely the UK lists like playing 1 Misty's based off of the National Champions list. Yeah, it's a pretty cool card. It can sometimes be subbed in for the 4th Sycamore because it's a bit less aggressive, and it can help you still dig for things like Double Dragon and DCE just as hard as a Sycamore can, because oftentimes you just need that 1 card if you are under the item lock to get you out of sticky situations. So it can help you find Olympia for the next turn, it can help you find the energy that you need, stuff like that. The Misty served the role as well as a Sycamore would do without being as painful discard wise, so I can definitely see you choosing to play 1 Misty in this deck as well. For now though, I'm just going with a super simple build, and we'll jump onto the ladder, hope to go first, and hope that people don't have a good response to this deck. So there it is. You can see I've also got Vileplume Lugia built. Ooh, so cheeky. That also plays a red card as well. I might have to profile that pretty soon. But this is the first one, I think. This is like the flagship Vileplume build right now. There's a few others floating around. Like I know there's Yveltal builds, just because it can hit hard, and Y Cyclone's a good attack. And I know that well, the Lugia is one I'm trying as well, because it's just a super easy attacker with just DCE cost. This is a really awful hand, and we've gone second. So we're gonna hope to get end. Or otherwise we're pretty sad here. And it's up against the Xerneas build, makes it even more awkward for us. Oh dear. So I may as well run into talk about some matchups. Really, if you go first, matchups go out the window, right? You can just win because item lock wins you games. Your worst matchups are probably going to be Xerneas builds, because this Xerneas has 130, the other Xerneas has 120. So either way, we can't one-hit KO them. They hit us for weakness, obviously, so pretty awkward times. Also, Yveltal EX can be a problem, because we commit 4 energy to ourselves, so naturally they do a lot of damage even without the use of double colourless energy. So that can also be a threat. Beyond that, I think Giratina is fairly fine. Again, just those sorts of times where your opponent does get turn 1 Trubbish float, you get pretty sad. Looks like we're up against the Mega Guardi build. Looks like they get another Xerneas down, which is pretty awkward. Luckily they can't use Geomancy this turn at the very least. They put 2 energy onto the Shaymin, so it makes me think that they're definitely going to be playing Ninja Boy, right? Otherwise they just wouldn't play those elixirs, because you'd rather them anywhere but Shaymin, right? Other than giving him the option to Sky Return, which could be valid. But we are seeing the opponent go for the Hooper, gets themselves nice 2 shiny Gardevoirs. Lots of bench targets for Lysandre, but of course they can play Fairy Garden. So who knows? Looks like... oh no. Well, pray for Joe, I think. Let's pass. Not exactly the explosive turn 1 we're after. And gonna see some Spirit Links and Attachment, and probably just Geomancy. Wow, nope, there's a Sycamore too. Yikes. Oh no. Oof. Saved by the whiff. Potentially. Another Spirit Link comes down, and here comes Geomancy. This is really not ideal. Probably an energy to each Guardi. Yeah, that looks about right. Well then, oh cool, we hit Sycamore. Well, we're not dead. We hit Forest Heavy Ball as well. So we've got the Plume going very late on. pretty much hitting everything that we can. We have energy as well to carry on, so the only thing we need to dig for really is Giratina. That would be ideal. Do hit a Trainer's Mail that I could potentially whiff if there's nothing else. Here's Heavy Ball for Giratina. The N was pretty tempting there, but I feel like we just need to have board presence at this point. And thanks to the Fury Belt, we can survive a Shining Wind. So they need to have Hex in hand to deal with our Giratina. And they also need to have another replacement stadium. So there's a lot that he does need. At this point, I could Vileplume, just for the extra card. Alternatives are... What else could draw me cards here? Level Ball, Mail. Okay, I think it's still fine to Shaymin before the Plume. Just because we do play a lot of items that can still draw us cards here. Ultra Ball can... But I don't want to, really. Only other alternative is I can pluck another Vileplume out of the deck, right? So I'm not going to top deck into it. So let's do that. So now we're not top decking Vileplume, at the very least. And if we get End, we're not drawing into that Forest or the Plume. So let's see how it goes here, boys. This is not the best of matchups, I will admit. Or the best of starts. Wow, they're really dispersing their energy around. See the Skylar, so we're not getting knocked out this turn. I don't think. For a Sycamore, not even the Hex, huh? Interesting. More Geomancies. Let's see how many energy is left. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many energy is he playing? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's probably all his energy, you know. So our win condition might well be Lysandre the Hooper. That could well be our win condition. I did have an alternative there, actually, by DCing Shaymin, Olympia, for Sky Return. That was probably way better than attached to this. But at the same time, 11 energy... That sounds like the limit, right? I don't know. 12 is high. Oh, I'm so scared. Okay. Let's see. Working under the assumption he's not playing more than 11 energy. But that's a risky assumption, especially on PTCGO. Oh, mighty Tangrowth. Don't do this to me. Here comes Sycamore. Oh, Xerneas break. That's the one thing I didn't want to happen. Oh dear. There goes the game, boys. Unless we top deck Lysandre. Well, let's Sky Return. And pray. Have a Vileplume, sir. You've earned it. Basically, we just need to have items back for ourselves here. Oh. Well, we've been rinsed. Pretty thoroughly. Opponent has 8 cards in deck. Still, Lysandre could be a win condition. One card to draw Lysandre. Alternatives there was to not play this at all. So now because now he has Lysandre for game, right? Either way, it was like one extra top deck. So I don't know. Is Lysandre still our win condition? Is the question. Oh, we've been end. So we haven't lost the game. Unless he has like... No, there's... I was going to say escape rope, but that wouldn't work. And we've got like 11 cards to draw here. But obviously we're looking for the Lysandre, so I'm being silly. Well, we have a few draws. Dig for Lysandre. That's why I'm playing these before Sycamore, right? Backup plan? There is no backup plan at this point. We may as well just dig for cards. We have Ultra Balls, we have Trainer's Mails. Oh. Oh. But we don't have item lock, right? We just have to pray that he has no more energy. His three. What does his 3 cards need to be? It needs to be Oddish, Gloom, Vileplume. The Dream? Anyone? Anyone feel like dreaming? Oh, so close. Not really. This can draw us cards though. As long as our last Shaymin's not prized. I've not been focusing. Okay, so now second chance of going for the 3. The Dream. Oh, never lucky. Pray. Twelve energy gone through, Super Rod's gone, 3 Fairy Garden gone. If he's playing 3 Fairy Garden, he might well not be playing switch cards. That's the only hope. And the other hope is he may have a switch card, but it's just not in his hand. And then we're just going to try and bunny to dig it out. Other alternatives? None at this point. Vespiquen, no. Skylar, no. Skylar for the 1 switch card. I bet he plays like 1 rope or something like that. Is he slow rolling us? Or is he about to concede? Ooh. Tense moment. We might have him, boys. We might have him overextending. Mighty Tangrowth might have overextended. Oh my days. Oh, he just gets a VS Seeker. Why? What's his next win condition? I don't know. Skylar for VS doesn't seem right. I think we might have him. Oh, boys. That is good news. That is very good news. Try and develop the plume now, right? Obviously we... I shouldn't have kept Sycamore, I should have kept N. Because otherwise I'm digging too hard and I'm going to lose the game for myself. Whoops, that was really bad. Because I had a much better chance of getting the plume there if I kept N. Oh well. I think we may have him anyway. Still so much tension. Another question is, does he play 13 energy? Well, let's try and find out. Oh, no, Hex isn't big. We don't have Vileplume. I was like, oh, big deal. But no, it's not a big deal. Yeah, I think we've done it, lads. By the skin of our teeth. We may have just done it. Unless he's slow rolling me. N? Sure. Oh, I feel bad for decking out a fellow viewer. Oh, poor guy. Thanks for the game though. I mean, you're like super close, so. No shame in that, sir. We squeaked out a victory, somehow. The unlikely victory. I said from like turn 1 though that Lysandre was our win condition, potentially. But we will find another game. Iceman Matt on his way. Losing another coin flip makes Vileplume pretty sad. But we shall see. We'll lead Oddish. Am I scared of Latios? I think I put down this instead and hold Oddish. The rest can be held. Again, not the most ideal of hands. But looks like we're up against Magnezone. Probably Magnezone Raikou, right? And if we can get the turn 1 plume, I feel confident. But this hand isn't ideal. Yep, there is Raikou. Because we can deny Rare Candy by ourselves quite a few turns. This is going to be annoying to get through. But, oh, he had N. He chose not to. Where's the resource management? Yeah, these are annoying to get through. But hopefully we can work our magic. See, Fury Bolt could have been Acrobike. Goodness gracious me. Right, so we don't need Gloom or Oddish here, we just need a card. So we grab the Unown first. And you pray to Harambe. Oh no. What is with this game? So these turn 1 Vileplumes are good, aren't they, lads? Oh, goodness sake. What are you doing here? Oh, where was the N? That's my question. See, got to play Acrobike instead of Fury Belt, guys. You know it's the play. He did it again! I mean, that time he knows I have a bad hand, so it's correct. But the first time, oh boy. This seems like a bit of a mission. But so was last game. So was last game. Ooh, we're not dead, officially. We got the lock up. That's something. I don't even know how good it is here. Probably hurts me more. We just hope to top deck Tina, right? Fisherman. Yeah, we're in a pickle, I'd say. He should probably attach here. Yeah. He does, he does. The only thing now is there's a potential for Vileplume to survive. Giratina! Oh, of course it's an item. Well, what can I say about this deck? Vileplume isn't dead, guys. It's still a archetype. But this pretty much demonstrates why it's not being talked about as much as it used to be. That's the angle I'll go for, right? This is all a demonstration to show why Vileplume is not seeing as much play as it used to. That's the moral of the story. That's why I'm here getting thunderlanced in the face. The Trollolol Sycamore just in time. Shall I attach DDE? Doesn't even let you, does it? Bye, double dragons. Awkward times. We do still have a Vileplume line in here. So we're not officially dead. But unofficially, we are ruined. I think Sky Return would be cute, but we need to start actually damaging this guy. We'll get a clean 6. Very clean 6. That's a Vileplume 6 right there. Need to dig for... Oh no, we have Floatstone. Whoops. Need to dig for Bunnelby, probably. Because there's a lot of these just chilling. Let me see if the last DD is in deck, actually. Oh, it is. But we definitely need to. Grab all the pieces now. And then we'll use Unown a couple times. Sycamore's pretty good. Double Colourless is pretty good. So the idea is lose 2 prizes, DCE, Bunnelby back some double dragons, hope that Sycamore gives us N, stabilize miraculously. That's the idea, the end game. The end game does involve us miraculously coming back. Trust me. But yeah, this is pretty grim. We'll see. We shall see. Do we still have N in deck? Yeah. A lot of supporters still in our deck, which is cool. So you have 160. Each time I'm doing only 100, down to 80. Healed 30. Oh boy. We also need to find another forest, pretty sharpish. Otherwise this Raikou is running through everything. The moral of the story is, uh-oh. No time for morals, we're getting thunderlanced. Oh no, that's a lot of damage. We have to Sycamore now then. Gotta get our damage in while we can. And we can't. So it's Plan B Giratina. Another energy. 6 times 2, 120. Oh no. That's a one-hit KO. I think I have lost now, officially. He still has 18 cards. Can't Bunnelby that many times other than a glitch, which would be pretty good. Not seeing any win conditions. Can't even Lysandre stall because it only has 1 retreat, so busted. We need him to hex so we can Fury Belt. If it's even in deck, don't even know if it is. Should I put one back in deck just in case? On that off chance. Sure. It's like the 0% win condition that I have just in case he does it. Double Dragon's not even good enough. I think I just take Unown. Cry, cry, cry. So unfortunately we weren't able to pull this one from the jaws of death. But we didn't get turn 1 Plume, and he went first. So, you know, these aren't the games that you judge this deck on. Let's actually try and go for... Whoa. White N. I don't know why he end. Is the honest truth. Where's Lysandre Mincino now, boys? That would have been pretty clutch. And that's a big older IQ. We will now at this point concede. So that was pretty grim. Let's try and fire up a game and see if we can actually get the dream going. If anything, that proves as evidence that Fury Belt should be acro, which was it has been my suspicion for a while with this deck. I've been carrying on with Fury Belt just because there's been games when you can tank hits and you feel much more dominant. But maybe it should just be step 1, get Vileplume, which is pretty... That is usually the case for Vileplume decks, to have step 1 in mind and, you know, just hope that Vileplume is enough. Which, you know, often it is. Who knows? And this is an okay hand. Going second again, just saying. And Hooper start, we like those. We love those. That means that this most likely mega deck based on the sleeves at the very least, and the Hooper. Yep, and the stadium. It makes me think that, ooh, Skylar's a slow start. What I like is starting Giratina. He doesn't know what kind of build we are. He doesn't know that we're playing Plume, right? So he might get some... He might hold some things like VS Seekers that he otherwise wouldn't. Skylar for Ultra Ball. In comes the Mewtwo most likely, unless he plays 2 Hooper, and then I'm pretty sad. Professor's Letter beforehand. Something you don't often see. There are Psychic Energies, so again it points me to Mewtwo. Gonna get rid of both of those freshly drawn Psychics. This is going to be interesting. Mewtwo's one of these ones where it's like, can he find Hex in time? But who knows? No energy either, even though he got rid of 2. That's interesting, what he's holding in his hand in that case. We really want Ultra Ball here more than anything else. Can't take any of these cards because we need to Shaymin. As much as I'd love Fury Belt, Oh, I fear about in this matchup especially. It's such a big deal. Oh, let's go with the golden rule of find Vileplume, I guess. Come on, we got to draw something here. No, we don't. Who am I kidding? Oh, what is going on? This is the least consistent I've ever been with this deck. This is insane. It's normally around... Okay, it's not like high percentages like Vespiquen, but it was around like 60%. This is just brutal. I want to pressurize the Mewtwo though. If we can. So, that's what we're going to go for. That is brutal. Well, we see an end. And that's good news, especially when we draw a hand like this. Oh, Spirit Link. Oh, Mega. No DCE blocks. Oh no, he can't attack us. What am I saying? Trubbish. No Float Stone. That's all I'm begging now. No! Oh my days, boys. He attached it to Hooper. Oh. Oh no. That is... It's because we've been so slow that he's not even had any inclination that we're Vileplume. That's so funny. Oh my days. That is so funny. Gruesomely hilarious. Right, we're going to draw a whole bunch of cards here. Oh, I can't believe he attached it to... Oh, that's so funny. I shouldn't laugh, but that is just hilarious. Whew, he didn't know how close he was to destroying us. We need to find our forest before we find the Gloom here. Plus forest. Well, we'll keep going then, I guess. Oh, it's making our Sycamore so much scarier. Am I really happy to not get the plume? I think I am going to Sycamore here. This guy's not too happy. I mean, you are up against Vileplume, but... But still, have some manners, sir. I think it was the chain of Unown that triggered him. Well, we have one card to find Gloom. So, are we lucky? No. Never. Of course not. So we'll just Chaos Wheel. Unfortunately for us, both Lysandre in the discard pile as well. So if he does Float Stone the Trubbish, we need to find our Bunnelby real quick. There's an Ultra Ball. Plays Deoxys. I pretty much would never play Deoxys now that we've lost Dimension Valley. Doesn't make sense for me. And here comes a Shaymin from the opponent. So Floatstone Garb, DCE is the Nightmare. Or Energy, Mega Turbo. Equally as nightmarish. There goes Mega Turbo. Ultra Ball. Oh, got rid of a Floatstone. Is his third in hand for Garbodor? Goes for a Mewtwo. That's very interesting. Still not played a supporter, bear in mind. Wow, just uses Shatter Shot for nothing. That's pretty bizarre, actually. See, I want to develop Plume, but I don't know if N... Okay, cool. That was interesting. Again, we didn't do too well on the old drawing front. It's always like turn 2 or 3 where we start exploding. Let's have one more game for the hell of it to try and actually go first and to try and set up, because so far we've had to like have grindy, awkward wins, and of course that loss. But this deck is a premium deck when it goes first and hits the right cards. That's the whole point of this list. And we've just not been able to show that off just yet. Floatstone the Hooper, boys. Just remember that. Remember that for all your lives. Also, bear in mind, Trubbish is also a pain. Because we're not playing Magina, that Psychic Energy attack on the coin flip can be really annoying against us. So even Trubbish is a pain for us without Floatstone. This is a pretty good hand. Doesn't look like it, but it's pretty good. And we're going first. Oh, the dream. The dream. Hyperactive as well. Also a dream. We'll level ball first, just to make sure this isn't our only Vileplume, because that would be awkward if I Ultra Balled it away in our first search. We do have one more, which is cool. Go for Oddish. So we'll play down everything here, keep the Ultra Ball for a Shaymin number 2, so that we guarantee that we're still drawing cards, no matter what we draw into. We can happily go Gloom here. We can actually Ultra Ball before the males here. But it could change depending on what we mail. Okay. Heavy Ball gives us Giratina. / Plume. So now I'm pretty happy to increase our odds of the male. I'd love to get Fury Belt or Floatstone here. Sycamore's worth taking. Again, just guaranteeing that we can keep drawing. So we've gone first and we've started to explode, which is good. We hit energy as well. And we have turn 1 Plume, only issue being that we don't have Floatstone. Bear in mind this is our last Vileplume, so if we don't hit Float we have to go without. And Olympia's not been played. One more card, 2 for 5. I think it's worth. Ultra Ball. I'm going to play just to thin I'm going to take Gloom here, because we're likely going to DC Bunnelby Sycamore next turn. But that's, you know, relatively as good as it gets. Missed the float, but beyond that, we've done pretty well. Would have loved a float for Bunnelby, of course, but beggars can't be choosers. And we got the Tailman Plume, with a Hooper just chilling in the active. So, all things considered, a pass back to us is a pretty good result. We will DC Bunnelby and Sycamore. Have that Olympia in hand now. There's nothing actually I want to cycle back into our own deck. Maybe Lysandre. Okay, we'll shuffle Lysandre back in for us. And then just borrow the top card of the deck. Hopefully get some info on them. Mail isn't info. Damn. And it wasn't like a Sycamore or something. It wasn't unplayable. So here we're going to Sycamore, but then we have to keep going with Bunnelby because we need to Olympia, right? I'm happy to Sycamore this all the way though. Olympia, back you go. And what else do we want to recover? Nothing really. I think again we can take one of our opponent's cards. Alternative is to get back a forest just in case our Vileplume gets knocked out. And just for a counter stadium. Let's just keep being aggressive on the opponent. Got rid of a Silent Lab. Okay. Sure they would have liked that on the first turn. Well, we went first anyway. It wouldn't have mattered. But hey. So now the clock is ticking. We have Olympia back in deck. We still have DCEs to retreat like a whole board. All in on the Giratina right now, but the opponent doesn't have much in the way of a response, so we shall see. And another pass to us. Okay. No, I will retreat. This is more pressure, right? Let's just put a one-turn clock on. They could literally have nothing. They could be waiting for a certain play. But this way, we find out, basically. And just a pass, so yeah, they really didn't have anything. Nice one. That's what can happen, guys, when you get a Tailman Vileplume up. So, there we go. We had some interesting games. We somehow beat a Xerneas Gardevoir deck, just by the skin of our teeth. Lost quite comprehensively to a Raikou Magnezone. And we were just then able to take out, don't know what it was a Hooper deck. And we also beat a Gardevoir, no, not Gardevoir, what am I saying? Mewtwo Garbodor, because they didn't float Stone Trubbish. When will they ever learn? Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all enjoyed the little fact file to the right as well. It's going to be something we introduce, and hopefully you guys all appreciate and enjoy it. So let me know what you think in the comments below. This is the first time, obviously, we've used it, so it can change. We can make it look better or worse and get it out of the way if need be. Make it smaller or something like that. So let me know what you guys want. This should just be, you know, from a glance, you can see a few things right there. Hopefully for newer players that can be helpful. And just when you're watching these games, it can also just you know, throw you back to why and what we're trying to achieve in our turns, stuff like that. So hope you all enjoyed. Leave a like to the video if you did. Like I say, join the discussion down below and subscribe if you haven't already. For now though, it has been Joe from OmniPoke, and I'll see you guys next time.